Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Tableside Chat with Monique J. First, you see my blue lips popping. I don't see if you can tell I see my hair yet, but I want to give what's going on? Wow, sorry. I'm going to give a shout out to Natalia Megan. I don't know if I'm saying it right, or Megan Beauty, and Shanika Carterbaum for my Savage is the color blue lipstick. You know I love blue. Anyway, so this is Tableside Chat, and this is directed directly to business owners, people who are considering starting a business. And I'm going to talk about today just about setting up your business right and your money and your taxes. I have been dealing with so many people over the years, but especially over the past couple months, who consider themselves or call themselves in business, and they don't have their bookkeeping right. They don't have their accounting done. You cannot successfully be in business. You cannot walk around here acting like and this is going to be some real talk, because like you know, for me as a coach and as an accountant, I'm not your average anything. So I'm going to speak candidly, because if sometimes when you sugarcoat stuff too much, people don't get the point, and they think it's a joke. I'm going to tell you this: you're not going to be successful in business if you do not start out your business having your bookkeeping and your accounting already being done or taken care of by somebody. And you can't do it yourself. I'm just going to tell you that unless you have a degree in accounting or bookkeeping and experience in those two things, you're not going to be able to do it yourself and do it right. And because you have an underlying issue or purpose involved in the business, the chances are you're going to make decisions based on what's best for you financially and not what's best for the business and the company to be successful. So I'm going to just say that if you're somebody who has been in business or you're currently in business, I don't care what it is that you do. If you selling anything, if you are making money off of anything that you are servicing, anything to somebody else, and you're calling it a business, you need to have this stuff in order, especially because a lot of people get into business, start doing well, and then they're like, I want to quit my job. But this entire time you have been doing this business and making this money, and you have not put anything anywhere, reported anything anywhere, have nothing in order and nothing together. All you've been doing is collecting and spending. I'm just keeping real. That's not a good business person, and that's not somebody who's going to be in business long. Because most people who are in business, most people who start a business, you're doing it because you hopefully eventually one day plan to not have to work for anyone, and you plan for that income and that revenue that you are creating from that business to be able to sustain you and take care of you and give you a better life. Well, better life generally includes you want a car, you want a house, you want other assets, you want to rent things, you want to open offices. All that stuff needs documentation to qualify for. And I don't mean created documentation that ain't real. I mean actual documentation that can be verified either from your bank, from the IRS, and from your financial statements that are provided by an accountant, and in some instances, a CPA. If you don't have that stuff legitimized, you could try to create, and I know we do it, hey, I'm from where I'm from, so I know people are always talking about, I could just make that, I could just do that. No, you can't. If you want to walk around and say you're a legitimate business person, compare yourself to all these other successful people, guess what? They got their books in order. They have someone. They understand the importance of carving out whatever those few dollars are that you are carving out, or you need to carve out every month in order to pay somebody to have your stuff right. Those people understand that. And then you cannot think that you are going to get quality, top-notch, knowledgeable, professional, ethical service and don't want to pay for it. So most people are some people are overpriced. Some people are reasonably priced, especially based on the knowledge and the information that they have and that they will provide you. but you need to get somebody. I am so tired of hearing about and seeing people who claim that they're in business, claim that they're making all of this money. You're collecting money. Let me just put this one thing out here first. None of that money that you earn or that you make is yours until you pay taxes. So that's federal income taxes if the amount of money that's earned is taxable. But one of the main things you can't get around is what's called self-employment tax or Social Security, Medicare tax, FICA, any of that. You can't get around that at all. As an individual, you can't. Corporations don't pay those things. But guess what? Corporations still have to pay on behalf of their employees. So if you have a corporation, but you're taking earnings from your corporation, that makes you an employee of the corporation, a shareholder of the corporation, one of the two. But there's going to be taxation on all of that. Stop taking your money, making your money, earning your money, and then you're spending it. You can spend it on your bills, on the business necessities. The business, not your personal necessities. When you begin to use your money for your personal things, that is income to you. And that money that you earn from the business should have been taxed prior to you paying yourself. Understand that. Before you start giving yourself any money, you need to tax it from what the company or the business has earned. If you don't tax it before you give yourself some, as soon as you take whatever you are using for your personal needs, that means your own personal rent, your car note, all those things, that amount that you are taking, that set amount before anything else is done or fund, needs to be taxed at a rate of a minimum of 15.3%. So that means if after you buy your supplies and you pay your website fee and you do all those things for your business, and now you have left over $3,000. No, that $3,000 ain't for you to spend and then say, well, I ain't gonna really owe no taxes because I'm gonna write that off and then I'm gonna be able to write. You can't write off nothing that ain't for that business. That was not a legitimate business expense. The money that you pay to you, the business can write it off, yes, but you can't. Once you get the money and you are self-employed, you have to pay what's called self-employment tax. So if you get that $3,000, before you go pay your anything, go out, go buy shopping and all that, because see, that's the mistake that people make. That's what people do. It's like, oh, well, they don't really know I made the money, so I ain't got to tell them about it, and I'm going to spend it all. But then at the end of the year, or then when you want to buy a car, or then when you want to buy a house, and now you want to try to show this income, and you don't have nothing. It's no proof of no income. You don't have no proof that you have been paying taxes. You don't have no proof that you filed with the IRS the amount of money that you say you make. So I'm going to give you a quick tip. That $3,000, 10% of it is $300, correct? 3,000, 10% is $300. Well, I said 15.3. So that means that at least $480 you should be putting up of that $3,000. If you know you can't trust yourself to put it up, because my suggestion to all of my clients is to open up an interest-bearing savings account. And every time you pay yourself, before you spend anything, peel off a minimum of 15.3% and sit that money in that interest-bearing savings account. That's not yours. It's just like if you was working a job and they pulled it out before they paid you. That's basically what you're doing. You're pulling off what does not belong to you before you pay yourself. I don't think, because I don't live in a slave master mentality, I don't think that I should have to have somebody else. The only way I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do is if somebody else do it for me. Or if somebody else take it from me. If you a boss, you starting your own business, you working for yourself, be responsible and do what you're supposed to do. And that's peel off that tax money before you start spending any of that money for anything other than business expenses. And your business expenses are not getting your hair done. I'm just going to be honest with you. The ability to write that off 100% legally, slim to none. Your business expenses are not, oh, I was driving today and I decided to get something to eat while I was going to meet a client. Meals, all them deductions have been slashed in half. So the chances of you really getting all of them, that's not. Your business expenses, of course, some trips and things. If you meeting, if you got somebody who knows what they're doing, yes, there'll be some things that you do that are considered business expenses. But because you don't truly know what it is, if it ain't the standard business expenses, rent, supplies, shipping, website fee, what else you got? Email accounts, advertising, marketing costs, what else? If you got an office or something, even with a vehicle and stuff like that, that becomes a little crafty. I wouldn't even deduct any of that before I start paying myself. I would just let my accountant handle it. And then guess what? If you put that 15.3% minimum in that interest-bearing savings account, I have some tips and actual savings accounts that you can put your money in, not at your brick and mortar bank, because they ain't giving you no interest. And you know they ain't, especially right now. You probably get 0.1% of your money that's sitting there. So I wouldn't suggest that. I got my links in my thing for you to schedule with me so I can give you some tips on how to save, where to save, because then when you put that money there, it sits there. It's earning interest for you. And then at the end of the year, it's already sitting there. And when your taxes is done and you telling the legitimate amount that you make, no, not you trying to write off the same stuff you've been writing off for the past 4 or 5 years, the same exact thing, putting tons of mileage in, saying, oh, I did this, I did that. You don't have no proof. No proof or nothing. You're just putting stuff. And yes, it's a computer. It's software. It's going to let you type anything in it. And it's going to make you feel like you are, I don't owe anything. But guess what? It's going to somebody who was reviewing all of that stuff. And there are so many different red flags that the IRS looks for, especially with people who claim and say that they are self-employed and they have their own business. And because generally you're not a professional and you are not being trained every year as to what those red flags are or even truly know the law, the chances of you putting the stuff and writing off the right stuff in the right ways that make logical sense are going to be significantly reduced. So that's why you need to hire a professional. Guess what? That's deductible. And that's something that's deductible before you pay yourself. So that bookkeeping that you would pay for monthly, that accounting that you would pay for quarterly to get your taxes filed. If you are paying people as employees, W-2 wage workers, you need to be taking the money out before you pay them. And as soon as you deduct and it shows on their check stubs that you have withheld money from their paycheck, you need to be making the deposit of the amount that you withheld, as well as your employer's portion. You need to be depositing that to the IRS as soon as you take it. Not saying, well, I need to use this money right now. By the time it's due, I just put it back. And this is that. Because then you know what happens? Chances are something else going to be that came up. And now you owe that money. You filed that tax return because you should have. And now the IRS does not see that you've made a deposit for those amounts of money that you withheld from your employee's pay. So think about that. You withheld some money from your employee saying that you was putting it in the tax fund and then you didn't put it there. Do that even sound legal? I don't even think so, do it. I know it doesn't. So that's why you shouldn't do it. And understand this. When you are paying someone as a W-2 employee, that 15.3% that I talked about in self-employment tax, it's still being paid on behalf of that employee. The difference is when someone works for you, they pay half from their earnings, and you as the employer pays the other half. But it still totals 15.3%. If you pay them as a contractor, no, you don't withhold anything. And then it's their responsibility, and they need to understand that they are going to be charged 15.3% minimum self-employment tax regardless if they make over $400. So if that 1099 says over $400, they are going to owe self-employment tax. They, of course, probably won't owe income tax. They're not going to owe income tax if they're a single individual until they earn over $12,000. But if they earn $12,200, they don't owe federal income tax. But they still owe self-employment tax, which is Social Security and Medicare, and it is taxed at 15.3% of your, not your gross, but your net earnings. So that's going to be of after any legitimate deductions are taken. Got work tonight, going back to sleep. I'll watch and rerun tomorrow. Okay, love you too, Leela. So legitimate. Do you understand that? Legitimate. If you want a list of what legitimate tax deductions you can do as a business owner, reach out to me. Set up a consultation. Once we talk, once I tell you, the jewels and the gifts in order to help you earn and get to wealth and not appearing to be wealthy, but you really not even near rich because your business is not in order, we can do that. I'll give you everything that you need to know so that you can set yourself up for success, for wealth, for the long term and not temporary, because it does you and nobody else any good for you to be able to front like you got money, front like you got millions or thousands and thousandaire, but somebody research you or you go try to buy something, you can't buy something with your millions because you haven't been filing your taxes because you think that you're supposed to make those millions, and the United States government that I'm sure you probably taking a stimulus check from or whatever else you taking from the government ain't getting a piece. Because if you ain't taking nothing, that's awesome. Somebody in your family, somebody benefiting that from what the government is generally doing. But you don't believe that you should pay your part. Now, what I will say is this. I'm not saying give all your money. What I'm saying is legitimately do what you're supposed to do. And one key thing as business owners is to hire a professional. Not your friend who do taxes by TurboTax and they do taxes and they know how to plug information in. Because if they were someone who was knowledgeable and to the extent of an accountant or a CPA, they wouldn't be satisfied for just only settling and only doing some stuff on TurboTax, because they would want to see the fruits of their labor and their knowledge, and they would take it to the next level. Accountants, CPAs, tax professionals who have been in this business and take the time to make sure that they have the certifications that separates them from the norm, they're getting educated every year. They are required to get continuing educations every year, hours every year. And they are using, I know for me and the friends of mine that I know, they are using those hours to learn the tax laws so that they can help their clients legally, but save the most money that they can for them. That's all it's about. It's not just about the standard stuff that people talk about that you write off. They said I could write off my uniforms. Well, guess what? Not no more. They lied. Non-reimbursed employee expenses are no longer deductible. But you didn't know that. That some people, I've heard people think that they can write off their mileage for driving to their job. And somebody be putting it in there. You can't. That's your job. You chose it. You chose to work there. So if you choose to drive an hour away, that means that you believe that the money that you're making supports why you would drive an hour away. Mileage is not deductible for driving to your job. For a business, mileage is deductible when you are driving whatever that vehicle is doing that business. If you just driving you and your family to the movies, or you to the restaurant, you cannot at the end of the year have kept track of your miles and said, oh, I drove 15,000 miles this year, so I'm going to write a 15,000 off on my business. You can't do that. That's not legitimate. That's not legal. I'm going to say that's not legitimate. And what will happen is you'll do it. You may get by with it 10, 15, 20 years. And it's that one random time. And they say, okay, show me proof of your 15,000 miles for a business. And you go, okay, I got my receipts. I've been getting my car service. See, my service report says that I've done 15,000 miles. So then the person is going to say, so this is the only vehicle. So you only drive this vehicle for business. So you must have another car. And then when you don't have another car, guess what that means to them? All 15,000 of those miles couldn't have been for business only. Got to be some personal stuff mixed up in there. So that's why it pays to hire a professional. If you are in business, if you are starting a business, and I get it. When you first starting out, you like, I need to be and have the least expenses as possible. But don't cut and don't go short on bookkeeping and accounting. That's not an expense that you should cut. And I know people are like, well, I do QuickBooks and this is that. Understand this with QuickBooks. Is it an okay tool? Yes, it is. But the computer only knows what the bank account or whatever tells it. You still need to go in and ensure that where QuickBooks is putting those expenses is where they legitimately go. And that they are legitimately expenses that can be written off in those areas. So when it's all said and done, even with QuickBooks may save you from having to possibly have a bookkeeper once a monthly perform a service for you. But quarterly, you still need to turn over everything that QuickBooks did to a bookkeeper and an accountant, or a bookkeeper / accountant. Luckily for my clients, I do both. And prior to filing your quarterly return, that person needs to go through all that stuff and make sure that everything adds up, matches up. Deductions that were taken are legitimate deductions, bank amounts, bank statement amounts, and amounts collected, and all that stuff. Checks and balances are all in order prior to you filing a quarterly return. The only reason you should not file a quarterly return or make quarterly deposits is if you will not have a tax liability of over $1,000 for the year. Now, y'all heard me say it's 15.3%. So to not have over $1,000 means that the business ain't make over 5, 10. The business, you didn't earn net over $12,000. If you earn net over $12,000, it's 10% is going to be $1,200. So if you, matter of fact, if you earned over $10,000, you are going to need to file a quarterly return. And it makes sense to do it quarterly because there is no what am I trying to use? There is no sneaking up on you. It's not going to surprise you because you will have already filed. You will have already put the money. Now quarterly, you've put your money in that interest-bearing savings. So that money is earning for you. If it's strictly for you as the entrepreneur and you don't have any employees and stuff like that, you don't necessarily have to make the deposit, but you do need to file the return, if that makes sense. And it's still not even always if you're strictly just an entrepreneur by yourself with nothing else. You don't necessarily have to file the quarterly because when you file your annual return, if you're a sole proprietor or LLC or something like that, it's going to all go into that 1 year's return. So you don't have to file what's called a 941 quarterly, but you still need to file it in your mind. Your accountant still needs to prepare the documents quarterly. They still need to give you a report and let you know how much should be sitting and be deposited into your interest-bearing savings account to sit there until you file your taxes for the year. And then when you get done, and now if you're people who, you be like, man, why people get such big tax returns but you do hair or you work for yourself and you only get $2,000-$3,000 and you hear people getting $7,000-$8,000 and you've only made, just say, $20,000 for the year. The reason is because you did not pay into the taxes. You did not pay into self-employment tax and it's being charged to that $20,000. And so that's automatically in the door, almost $3,500 of your refund that they're going to take for self-employment tax. So the way to avoid that is to do what I'm saying. Just contact me once every 3 months if you want to do that. But then you got to put that money up, y'all. You got to, and I will peel it off as I make it. I'm just saying because I know all of us, discipline sometime and money get tight and time slow and things like that. And we just be like, oh, I'll do it. I'll put it back next time. No, don't start doing that. Don't do that. Just peel it off. Act like you ain't never seen it. Put it in that interest-bearing savings. So then what will happen is at tax time, You'll have that interest-bearing savings. Just say, okay, you made $5,000 a quarter. So you've put up $650. So now you got $2,600 sitting in that interest-bearing savings, and it probably earned maybe $10. So you got $2,610. You get ready to file your taxes. It's going to say, you haven't made any payments? No. But when you get done, it's going to subtract that $2,600 self-employment tax from whatever your refund is. And you're going to get the difference in the refund, but then guess what? But you also got the $2,600 sitting in your account that is now considered a refund to you because it's for the taxes that they just took away. Now, you actually did get a $6,000 some refund. You got $4,000 back from the IRS, from your credits and stuff, and then you got your $2,600 sitting in the bank. Now, what I would do, because you got the $4,000, unless you really need the $2,600, I would just keep letting it sit there. Keep letting it sit there. As you make more money, if you make over, the $5,000 a quarter or whatever, net, add the difference in there, but then that way you don't ever really have to continuously add more money because you just kept letting it roll over, and the longer it sat there, the more it was earning an interest for you. Now we can talk about even maybe pulling some of it off and let's put in some investments and things like that, because I teach that in my courses as well. It's just so many things that we can do, but business owners, you got to do better. You can't be wanting to live the life of a successful business owner and your books and your paperwork is not in order. And that means keeping receipts. That means keeping your bank statements, having a bank account for your business separately than your personal bank account. It makes things so much easier to record and to regulate. That means just keeping track. You can't, if you paying somebody for doing something for you in your business, you need to get a W-9 from them or a W-4 from them. If they're just a contractor, they randomly work, you need to get a W-9. And every time you pay them, you need to be recording it. Because at the end of the year, you're going to need to, if you want to pay as least in taxes as possible on your income, you're going to need to report that you paid those people, and you're going to need to file a 1099 for those persons. What does that mean? Anybody that can't earn money legitimately with their Social Security number, they shouldn't be working for you unless you want to be paying taxes for the money that they make. Because somebody got to pay taxes on it. You can't write it off if you ain't reporting it. Period, point blank. And you can't make it be for something else that it really wasn't for. You just can't. So set your stuff up right. That's the difference in, when minorities or, just people coming from, low income, middle class, or whatever, start a business and the level of success that they go to as compared to maybe some other persons who are willing to take the knowledge, use the knowledge that is there for them in the door and build their business the right way from the start. We wait and get all the money and look like we living and been living and doing all these different things and we just so successful. And then it's not until we really want to have a proof of success that we realize our business was never in order. We were just making money and spending it and showing the world that, we got a business and we making some money, but your paperwork is not in order. I have people, I was going to do that, or can I do that later, or can I? No. Your books, your accounting, your taxes, that stuff can't be done later. It needs to be done in the gate. As soon as you're making money, that stuff should be set up. And it should be handled. You will thank me. You will thank yourself for being disciplined. And just don't put yourself in a position that only way you're going to be successful is if somebody else control your money. No. It shouldn't only be that people who work a job are the only people who easily can get stuff. Because, of course, their stuff is in order because somebody controlling their purse. We people who control our own purse, we should be able to do just as much, if not more, than them. And the only thing that stops us is because our business and our paperwork is not in order, or our credit don't be right. But that all still rolls back to wanting to look like you somewhere before you get there. You're going to get there if your work ethic is there. You're going to get there if you handle your business right. But when you get there, you want to stay there. You don't want to look like you're there in front of everybody, but really ain't on nothing once you get out their face. You want all these things to look and say that you're successful, but you're not successful as a business person, period. If your books ain't in order, if you're not current with your filings, if you ain't doing everything that is required of you in regards to a legitimate business owner when it comes to your filings, with your state, with your unemployment, with your government. Some people aren't responsible for all those things, but you don't know if you don't ask the questions. But one thing we are responsible for is that 15.3% tax. Understand that. Okay? This has been Moe, the Tax Pro. Some of y'all may not have wanted to hear. Some of you all may realize that it's coming from a great place of wanting to see you win. So people who love you tell you the truth, even though it may hurt. I say this all the time. Ignorance is not an excuse for not doing things right. And you can ignore the messenger and the message all you want. It is not going to negate or take away the fact that you are responsible for each and everything that I talked about in this video as a business owner. I like to share it because I put it all different places. So that those who want to learn, those who want to do better, those who want to be successful in real life. Now, I don't say in real life with quotes. That's in real life instead of fake life, social media life. They're going to take the message. They're going to contact myself or someone else they know that is a legitimate bookkeeper and a legitimate accountant and a legitimate CPA and get their stuff in order. Bite the bullet. Yeah, up front it may be a few $100 or $1,000 or whatever the case may be, depending on that rate, to get you in order and start and keep you on track. But that'll be way better and less than ending up thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to the IRS because they came for you and half of the stuff you did or you didn't do. Because some people think, oh, well, they don't know about I ain't got to file it, but you collecting 1099s and you swiping stuff through Square and you swiping using Cash App and you using Venmo and you using Zelle. Y'all don't think that they report the money that's transferred? That's wire transfer. That's getting reported. And then it's going into your bank account, which is proof of income. So you keep thinking they don't know and they ain't going to never know. They behind, yeah. But you never know. So that's why, because you never know, why not be prepared before they come? So you can sit up in front if the time comes. Sit up with your back straight, knowing your stuff is in order instead of scared and worrying and scuffling through stuff because you didn't have your stuff in order and you did not heed the message when somebody gave you the message. Get with a professional. Stop using them back alley kitchen. And I started, well, it was a little office outside the kitchen. But stop using those people who are not taking the time to separate themselves from just somebody who do this during the season and don't really learn and don't really know nothing outside of what the Southwest say to them. Stop using them, y'all, especially if you are somebody who is in business for yourself or you're somebody who has investments in a home and things like that where you need the most knowledge possible when your taxes are done. You need to stop using them and get with you a professional. And you need to stop dodging paying what you actually owe. Because most of the time, that's why people do it. And then they want to sit there and let the people do all kind of crazy stuff on their taxes. Say they went to college and they ain't even looked at the door of a college. And then wonder, I don't know. I didn't know that you put I went to college. Well, didn't you get an extra $2,500 in the refund that you know ain't no way in the world you was entitled to? You knew what was going on. And let me tell you what them auditors say. Ignorance is not an excuse. And because your name is signed on that tax return, you are responsible in validating everything that is in that tax return. So that's why you need to choose a professional. That's why you need to choose somebody who is ethical and knowledgeable, because they could be professional and not be ethical. That's why you need to choose somebody who respects their freedom as well as yours. And not just be looking to save a couple hundred or a couple thousand. If you do the right thing and do with the money when you have it at the time, when you get it, immediately as you get it, you won't have to worry about that. But you can't keep sitting here thinking that playing dumb is going to be an answer. Because putting false information on federal documents is actually federal fraud. Getting money wired from the government to your bank account that does not belong to you is fraud. Don't set yourself up just for a few dollars. Do your business right. Handle your business right. You will be wealthy in spirit and wealthy in your bank account and in your pocket. Understand that. I tell this to people all the time. We want good things. We want good to come to us. But we are not working hard daily to be good people. And that means in all aspects of our life. You nice to people, you donate, you this and that, but then you over here committing fraud or crime or something like that. It's still all a part of the universe coming back and bringing back to you the things that you put out into it. Building anything on an unstable foundation, which unstable is going to be untruths and falsehoods, is destined to crumble and fall. It may stay up for a little while to look pretty for a little while, but because it was built on something unstable, eventually it's going to crash. I'm speaking from personal experience and personal knowledge. One thing you get from me, which is why I say I'm not your average nothing, is transparency. And the reason why I speak so passionate about this is because I have been in that position where I've had to everybody else everything. But was it all done? No. Which is why I had to lose it all or give it all back. Because anything that ain't right usually don't last. Okay? So you done got your tax information, and you done got me to turn on over to Coach. What say on the back of my shirt, Coach Motivation. So Coach Mo, but I like I said, a lot of what I do, and really all of what I do is truthfully coming from a place of wanting to see everybody win. And understanding that my purpose is to give, help, and educate and inspire others. I'm not in competition with anybody but myself. That's why I don't try to withhold any information that I may have. Because why? I'm going to win. I'm going to do whatever I'm supposed to do because it's intended for me. And that's the way that you need to look at it for yourself. And just start trying to do better. If you can know you're not strong enough to hold yourself accountable, get yourself an accountability partner. And that is a coach. Maybe an investment monthly or something like that. But if it pays off, if it secures your personal peace and your financial peace, your personal happiness and your financial happiness, the investment is definitely going to be worth it. Okay? If anybody got any questions, I put my links. I put my links for everything. So you can take a course on my academy. You can set up and sign up for coaching, and that's laid out on my academy as well on my online school. And then we will meet monthly, once a month, all of those who are coached by me. But if you want to do better, y'all, the change begins with this. This controls the actions that come afterwards. So you got to change your thinking in order to change your outcome. Speaking of that, visit Apple iBooks and Amazon Kindle and order my book for $7.99. It is an ebook. Change your thinking, change your outcome. The second book in the series is due out and will be out October 2020. So it's going to be long. It's going to be in a paperback, and it will give a whole lot more information. But this has been your girl, Monique J, a.k.a. Moe the Tax Pro, who is not your average nothing, but your more than average faith walker and true believer in God. All right, God bless you guys. Have a great day. Definitely visit the links. Want better, do better, and grow into change. All right, bye.